What's going on? I'm giving this like here.
Okay.
All right, who we got?
We got a bunch on stage. We have Foreigner 3.
What?
Foreign. We have Mr. W. We have Henry.
Mr. W, what's going on?
We have Justin.
Yo, what up?
That's it.
Hey, Justin.
How's it going, Justin?
Hey, how are you two?
Good. How's everything?
I missed the clubhouse today, and I feel bad about that, but otherwise things are good.
Okay.
You feel good about missing it, you said?
No. I feel bad about missing it,
I think so. I feel
but I'm good
about
otherwise.
and I feel good about that. It was actually a good one. It was a really good clubhouse.
It was a long one, huh?
Yeah, I heard that there was a lot of great discussion there. We also have a Discord server, and Discord has a similar feature now, so I'm trying to get them to do something similar, given the success of the clubhouse.
Oh, great. All right. Yeah, we don't really use the Discord much at all. We got to start doing that. We saw your Monero space show. That was great. Episode came out like 2 days ago.
Yeah, Saturday.
That was very good.
Thanks.
We enjoyed watching that. So did they come up with the final decision for the name for the village?
Good question. We are now officially the cryptocurrency village.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we were talking about this on Clubhouse, but I wasn't sure if that's what they. All right, that's cool. What was the thinking there in naming it that?
So DEF CON did not want to have villages anymore that were about a specific thing. They wanted them to be more broad topics. So they wanted us to stray from the Monero village name. And they also gave similar suggestions to some other villages. And they know that cryptocurrencies are a pretty popular topic at the moment, and I guess have been for some time. And they know that we have put on villages before and we're knowledgeable here. So they seem to be trusting us to, carry the torch for the broader, larger village, the cryptocurrency village. So it's disappointing in some ways. We don't have a Monero village anymore. It's really sad. We used to say, Monero is the only one with its own, but oh well. We have better things. We're doing more broad stuff now, so still good.
I guess there's some silver lining there, though, right? Because maybe it will introduce new people to Monero that are just going to the cryptocurrency village for other coins.
Exactly. We should get some more people. I'm going to push for a cross promotion on the cryptocurrency subreddit, for example. We'll do what we can to make the most out of this. So
okay. Yeah, we were talking about in Clubhouse, maybe like an idea for, a contest being, if people can trace a transaction, and using different cryptocurrencies. So I don't know exactly what the contest would be, but trying to see if, reveal which cryptocurrency is the most or the least traceable. If that makes any sense. Because I know
we need a bunch of ideas here. Yeah.
What's that?
We're in the idea phase. We got a few months to put all this stuff together, but definitely going to need to have a bunch of activities. So
yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Who we got?
Gotcha.
Hello? You want to introduce yourself? Oh, he was just testing his audio.
Okay.
You want to introduce yourself? H2 or Henry? Or no, H2. H2017. You want to introduce yourself?
Right. Don't call me H2017. Just call me Mike, I guess. I'm a big Monero enthusiast. I'll never really understand the technology all that well, I confess. I just like to keep my finger on the pulse, I suppose. That's why I'm here. I just want to hear about Monero.
Oh, very cool. Are you into other cryptos, or is Monero your only coin?
only Monero, and I do own. This will make this. I know this will make me sort of pariah. I do own like a small handful of Zcash, just Zcash. I'm Canadian.
Okay.
Zcash just as a hedge. But,
How'd you arrive at Monero? Why Monero?
well, that's complicated, and I think you're going to get complicated answers from most people. Well, originally I was a crypto investor. I've not always been. I've been an on and off crypto investor for a while. So I had a bunch of stuff that was trending, like Zcash. Not Zcash. Sorry, that was interesting. The Zcash. I mean, I had a bunch of like Lisk and I don't even remember all the things I used to own. I had some Dash and I had some Lisk. A bunch of stuff like that. Then one day there was a guy on Twitter. I can't remember his name now, but he used to call. He called like the original. I can't remember the original price surge of Monero, and I just bought in on that at that moment. And then the price started exploding. I wish I remembered that guy's name because he was brilliant. But then he stopped tweeting after that because I think he felt that everybody was sort of parasitizing his work. I think.
So what's your take on Monero today? I mean, what's your current feel? Why are you still bullish on Monero?
Well, I don't. It's the market, right? And I just gave up trying to guess.
Okay.
I'm bullish. I'm relatively bullish on Monero relative to other cryptos. If Bitcoin has peaked, then it'll drag everything down.
Right.
Except for a few things that I wouldn't even know about.
Agreed.
Yeah, yes, I'm very bullish on Monero in terms of its market, in terms of its position in the market cap. I'm not. I think it. I think it'll be like number 3 someday. I mean, it deserves to be.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I think it's a top 3 coin. Just market capital alone, it seems to be completely misplaced. Which I think that's a good topic. Mr. W, are you there?
But oh.
Yeah, Mr. W is going to do a live price report.
Yeah. So just real quick on that last comment, I highly doubt Bitcoin has topped from a macro sense. So I'm expecting another leg up in all cryptos, Bitcoin to 100K, and hopefully Monero to 0.01, which would take it to $1,000 by the end of this cycle. So just a little background of where I'm thinking for the rest of this year. But yeah, let's get into some charts. Y'all let me know. Last time we had some issues with the screen share. So we go ahead and get this going. We'll see if it works.
All right, let's do it.
All right, awesome.
So is that on?
Yep, it's showing.
All right, awesome. So here we have a daily chart of the Monero Bitcoin pair, which a lot of people, most people follow the USD pair now, but I think the BTC pair gives us insight into, whether Monero is actually in its own bull market as opposed to just kind of following up Bitcoin's coattails, kind of like what Mike was saying. But here we've been consolidating for a while. It's a little disappointing that we're breaking down out of this pennant formation. Usually you want to see these things break higher. But the fact that we're still around this, what we call the supply area here from its previous high, the fact that we're still hanging around up here after all this time tells me that this isn't the top either. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that we don't have much technical resistance above this area until the 0.008, and then ultimately, like I said, I think you're going to 0.01 but before the end of the year, probably well before the end of the year. That's my guess. I mean, a lot of alts look good, and the pumps and Pirate Chain and Wow Narrow over the past couple of weeks just tell me that there's still a ton of interest in privacy coins. It's just hard to move Monero because it's got this bigger market cap, and we're in this kind of speculative phase. But Monero is, I think, a lot of that capital from those pumps flows back into Monero. So if we go over to the USD pair, this looks better just because Bitcoin's been performing pretty well over the past week. But here we actually broke out of the pennant to the upside, and we're still consolidating above near these highs in the 400s. This just looks really bullish to me. The volume, so this blue line down here tells you that there's more buyers and sellers as this rises. It tells us that this volume that's happening in here is more buying than selling. And so this could chop around here for a while. I think Bitcoin probably is in a consolidation mode for a little while too. So maybe we got a week or two kind of sideways before we pop up. But I think for 480 is the first stop because that's the previous high. And then above there, I think 500-600 again makes a lot of sense this summer. And then if my target of 100,000 for Bitcoin and then 0.01 on the BTC pair at $1,000. So I think that's like a reasonable cycle target. If not higher, I would love to see it higher than that. But that kind of is reasonable.
You're saying that's for the year or for the top of the cycle, for the top of the
well, I think they coincide. So I think that this cycle, this kind of crypto cycle that we're in now, probably taps out at before the end of the year, maybe the very beginning of next year, similar to 2017. That's just my expectation, and so that would be the cycle top and ultimately just the top for Monero overall. But let me just caveat that with this: I think that the bear market that we'll go into next year and then over the next couple of years will be way less severe than the ones we've seen in the past. So that's some consolation.
Okay.
And then if we just zoom out to the weekly charts, we can see how much room there is. I mean, this is the Monero Bitcoin chart. It's been rallying pretty good here for the past, couple months, and it still hasn't even gotten. I mean, we're still near these lows down here over on this double bottom. So there's just tons of room to run. Ultimately, if the fungibility and privacy debate really does heat up over the next couple of years, then actually Monero might be a great hedge if we do go into a kind of a cyclical downtrend at the end of the year, the next couple of years. I just think this chart looks great. It's going to take a while to get through these patches of resistance here, but with ETH, exploding to the upside against Bitcoin, you'd think people would eventually see the value prop for Monero and start coming in, especially when people start taking profits on all this stuff. Go ahead.
What effect do you think it would have if something crazy were to happen, like Ethereum would pass Bitcoin in market cap, or it would do something crazy? Do you think that would have a very direct effect on how people are valuing Bitcoin? Because I mean, it's primarily, obviously, it's being sold as digital gold, a store of value. So if something like that were to happen, it would kind of really eat away at that meme of Bitcoin as digital gold.
I would have said that yes, absolutely. In the past cycle, in the past couple, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, even a year or two ago. But I think that at least serious crypto investors are getting savvy enough to delineate what the addressable market is for each of those coins, and seeing that maybe at least over like a medium term that the services that are built on top of Ether might allow it to have a bigger market cap without actually really truly eroding monetary characteristics of Bitcoin, as Bitcoin just continues to act as kind of an institutional hedge and just kind of the crypto reserve. I don't think it lasts long because I think that there's a question with long-term sustainability with the architecture of Ethereum, but I don't actually see that as bearish as I would have a couple years ago.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but that's kind of I think that it would if Bitcoin, if that was the narrative, then unfortunately it would seem like that DeFi kind of wave is taking hold and people are less concerned with decentralization and privacy than they would be. Whereas that might not be as good for Monero just over the shorter term if that is kind of the resounding
I would see it
narrative.
as being positive for Monero because it basically shows, the biggest argument against Monero is that Bitcoin has an unbeatable network effect that's just going to eat everything else. So something like Ethereum can basically flip in Bitcoin, then that proves that, it's not just about network effect and first mover advantage. So
Right.
the argument against Monero goes away. And I think it also then starts to force people to focus on the utility that these things offer beyond speculation and store of value. Because, if Bitcoin gets flipping, then is it really the best store of value? So then I think you start looking at other coins and seeing what utility they offer. And then I think, you look at something like Monero and you're like, wow, it's even, store of value aside, Monero is useful as digital cash for, transferring value peer to peer in a cheap way without censorship. And it does it better than Bitcoin, and then that's my take on it. If we were to see a flip of Bitcoin, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, we're probably all wrong.
But what do you think of so this concept of using chain analytics to kind of study the market? Obviously, that's done in Bitcoin in a very big way, watching wallets and seeing how coins are moving and whether, old wallets are moving coins. The fact that you can't do that on Monero, how do you think that affects the market?
I think
or how does it affect Bitcoin's market in terms of getting more information out there?
Yeah, well, it makes it easier. Now you have all these metrics and analytics for Bitcoin, right, where you can get some kind of sense of at least maybe not a pure valuation, but at least kind of where you are in the cycle, like a MRB score and Joule multiple and Meyer multiple and stuff like that people look at to see if we're overextended or if we're oversold in the cycle. But even in Bitcoin, it doesn't really give you an idea of what an appropriate value for the coin is. And Monero even more so. So it has made it. You would think it would make it more volatile, but if you look at the Bitcoin pair, especially on the weekly chart, you see it really hasn't been. And so, as long as you can see kind of some kind of metric of the growth of the network and that it's trending in the right way, I think that maybe at this point that's all you really need.
Yeah.
And going forward, I don't know how you actually get those analytics and those metrics on Monero. Maybe we just stuck with what we got.
Right. Like, are you familiar with Willy Woo and like the analytics he does? Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, absolutely. I look at that stuff a lot, and that's one of the reasons why I think we're not done with this Bitcoin crypto cycle overall, because a lot of the metrics that those guys follow are showing us. We were overheated a couple months ago. Now we're right back in this nice zone, so it opens the doors to some more upside.
Right. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. W regarding price?
We have a question here in the YouTube chat. What do you think Monero will go to this year?
Yeah, so
basically saying they're coinciding. Go ahead.
About $1,000. Yeah, I think that the price target, that ultimate price target of around $1,000 makes sense. Just in terms of this entire cycle and this year, I think they're kind of one and the same. And that would be the 0.01 on the BTC pair, the ratio, 0.01 ratio. And that's still, if you just think about it, that's still only an implied value of 1% essentially of, Bitcoin's value. So it's still way too low.
Yeah. I think we've asked you last time, but you might as well retell again. Where do you ultimately see Monero going against Bitcoin? Like, what do you see?
I could see it, over the next couple cycles, once people really realize how important privacy and fungibility are and how much of an advantage Monero has kind of in this space already. 0.05 seems like a kind of a no-brainer number, and even that's just 5%. Even that seems kind of low, but that would be a number I would look at. And then if you're looking at in that case, if you're looking at $100,000 BTC, then that's 5,000. And then likely, if this is a cycle or two down the road, then BTCs will be much higher than that. So in dollar terms, you're looking at a ton of upside. But in terms of BTC, I think 0.05 makes a ton of sense. And I think the guys over at Crypto Vigilante are kind of in the same boat.
What effect do you think atomic swaps could potentially have on price?
Yeah, that's going to be
Atomic
really
swaps. Let's say in the scenario that it's a real success and it's actually essentially used, as a second layer on Bitcoin. People are just using it constantly to transact, via Bitcoin essentially to make Bitcoin, more private. What do you see that? How do you see that having an effect on price? What would be your analysis?
Well, I mean, I could actually see that kicking off what I want to see as a bigger, broader bull market in the BTC pair. I mean, the chart that I have up right now shows this nice slow rounding bottom. I mean, that's the kind of thing that could just, once it starts picking up steam within a month's time period, the price could double in BTC terms and break out from this long-term kind of bearish market structure situation. So I think that's huge. That would drive tons of demand, if nothing else, into as a roundabout mixer.
Yeah. Justin, you have any opinion on that? Oh, go ahead. Somebody's chiming in.
Hey, man. I've got a question for Mr. W. Couldn't you argue that Monero just broke out against its downtrend, its multi-year downtrend against Bitcoin, and we're just at the start of like a new XMR BTC bull run?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm just not sure how much more time we need to spend, between, let's say, 0.007 and then when we get up to 0.01. We really need, so this previous regional high that we need to take out is 0.00825. So once we get a convincing break above there, that shifts the whole market structure narrative completely. And I think then you start to see volume start to come back in, which we really have yet to see in big numbers. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I think we're just at the kind of the beginning stages of this next secular bull market in terms of the BTC pair, where Monero gains ground for sure.
Like if it hit your 0.01 target, then we'd just be making higher highs and higher lows the whole time. So we've got way more upside to, all-time highs relative to Bitcoin.
Way more. Yeah, I think that's just a take profit level. And just provides a reasonable kind of framework to think about what a dollar price target might be going forward if Bitcoin hits 100K in the next, let's say, 6 months and Monero goes to 0.01. But if we do get strong price action around there in the retracement, let's say we go from 0.01 area back to 0.008 and that gets bought, with conviction, well, then the upside is, gosh, who knows, you could go to 0.02 fast. It's just, I really want to see what the bulls do, around these previous regional highs to really gain control of the market here over the shorter term, but longer term, yeah, tons of upside.
And for long term, do you think that it'll eventually pass its all-time high relative to Bitcoin, which is what, 0.03? Like, do you have any target for that?
Yeah, so like I said, 0.05 probably would be that's the number that seems to make sense to me. Especially on an extension above that, on a breakout above that previous all-time high in the mid threes. And so, I think we can take those out. And now, how long that takes, I don't know, because there is a lot of supply to clear on all these kind of higher time frame supply areas. So it's hard to tell how long it takes, but I think we do go higher than all-time highs. I don't know about this year, but I think that's coming, either this cycle or the next.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Good questions.
Justin, you got any comments regarding price or the effect atomic swaps might have on price?
I don't know about comments on price. One question. So, Mr. W, this is actually the first time I think I've ever watched anything of yours. I guess, can you quickly do like a really quick overview of your background, and then would you be interested in actually doing like a sort of quick Monero price call once a week or something?
I I've been in the space doing technical analysis since early 2013, and I was previously with a company called Bull Bear Analytics. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but we were around for a long time. And now I'm with the Crypto Vigilante, which is an arm of the Dollar Vigilante. And so I'm always down to do any kind of price stuff, man. I love it. This is my world. So
we had him on. I think we had you on at least once before, and then we had who did we have before that?
Oh, Mr. X.
Mr. X.
Yeah, I mean, if we could have you on every week, obviously, you know, it's fun. The Monero community is funny. I mean, nobody like really talks about price, but obviously everybody wants to hear about price. What's that?
It's correct. Yeah, right. That's the way it should be. I like it like that. That's
yeah.
The properties are in the right spot.
But it's nice to get like Justin's saying, a weekly update. You know, I think people will definitely be interested in that.
Cool.
Justin, do you have any comments on the potential effect atomic swaps can have on? I mean, if you don't want to determine a price, I don't know, transaction volume and things like that.
I mean, from my perspective, I think what I'm going to call a retail user that wants to get out of BTC is just going to swap for Monero instead of using a Bitcoin mixer themselves. Now, I do expect Bitcoin mixers to continue to be used, but I don't think that the main users of those will be, a normal user. I think they're mostly going to be like, I mean, put bluntly, large criminal organizations that are laundering lots of money and are more like institutionalized. So I think that it will help push retail user, discussion of Monero. No idea what that means for price, but it clearly, based off some of the recent conversations from the Havino Dex Twitter account and the Bisq Network Twitter account, there's clearly some some back and forth, and it's an area of pretty significant interest, not just in the Monero community, but even in the Bitcoin community too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Bitcoin maxis would say, they're just going to hold their Bitcoin and just use Monero only for transactions. But I don't see how that wouldn't have upward price pressure. Mr. W, what do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think it's bullish.
I mean, if Bitcoiners are just holding Bitcoin and then only, swapping when they're, as needed, I would think that'd put positive pressure on Monero.
Yeah, I mean, so actually, speaking of Mr. X, who is like the Monero expert, I mean, this guy knows everything about Monero and he's been studying it in depth for a long, long time. And when the announcement for the atomic swaps came out, I have never seen him more excited about what that could do for price. So just that tells you anything.
All right. Anybody want to jump on? That's on stage. Anybody have a comment? We could.
Yeah, just one. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just one question about the broader economy. I've noticed that respectable economists tell us not to worry about inflation, but the less respectable ones treat it as a significant concern. And I tend to believe the doomsayers on this topic. I'm very worried about inflation. I'm just wondering, maybe that's not relevant here, but part of the reason why I'm into crypto is because I worry about inflation. I'm just wondering if anybody has anything to say about that.
Mr. W, you want to comment on that? The effect that inflation has on crypto price?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been bullish and just I feel like the legacy market guys that are institutional guys that have been coming in over the past 6 months, they're kind of anticipating what is now starting to materialize in terms of inflation. So it has been bullish, but I want to see the Fed continue to print, and I want to see inflation continue to rise to see fund flows continue to come into crypto.
All right. Anybody else?
Anybody else want to chat? I know Henry wanted to talk before.
Yeah, I was just going to say I've been working on this project involving Monero where you connect to a local Wi-Fi network and you start running the server essentially, and then people will connect to it and upload music that's designed for artists, musicians, and then when you're connected to the local network, you can listen to a stream of the music randomly, like a radio. And if you like the song, you can press a button to tip that artist in Monero, and then you can take that song and listen to it whenever. And it's been going pretty well. I talked to some of the devs in the IRC about how to verify that someone has paid, and figure out a way to do that, and it seems to be working. So the way that happens is, so the server software has its own wallet, and then it can generate an integrated address where basically you can have a 16 long hexadecimal string, so it's 8 bytes. My speaker has been mumbling.
Yeah, what's the name? I couldn't totally hear you. Anybody was able to hear him well? What's the name of the project that you're talking about?
Oh, I call it lo-fi, but local fi sound.
Okay, and it's what is it at?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
What stage in development is it at? I couldn't totally hear you. I'm sorry when you were talking.
Oh, sorry. It's very, very early stage. So I've just got the Monero payment loading, some of the APIs. I still need to do the front end.
Okay. Anybody else familiar with that? Nah,
I guess not.
Anybody want to jump on? Go ahead. Take it whatever direction you want.
Yeah.
We're looking at comments. Somebody's saying it's all about making Monero easy to use for the end user. Yeah, totally agree with that. I think we're seeing, and he brings up the comment regarding Thorchain. Does anybody have any knowledge of that that's on how that could effectively be used to swap between Bitcoin and Monero?
I don't think they have activated the Monero side of things. I think they're still working on it.
So, do we know how? So this is happening soon, or this is,
No, I was just following their. I think Eric from Shapeshift. I follow him, and he was posting some update. I know that some of the other tokens are already supported. And Monero, they were saying coming soon, like maybe 4 or 5 days back.
Okay. Yeah, I think we reached out to them, right? We were trying to get them on Monero Talk.
Yeah.
If anybody has any connections to them,
please let us know.
And ask
you should get. Doug, I think you should definitely try to get Eric sometime, if you haven't already.
Yeah.
I had him. We had him
at
MoneroCon in Denver. So it was different back then. He hadn't gone in this direction yet.
Yeah, he seems to be the big figure with Thorchain, even though it's not his project, I know, but he seems to be a big supporter of it. Yeah,
no, he's a good guy. We'll definitely try to get him on again.
You guys already talked about the donation from Samurai guys and the controversy. I think Justin was keeping up with it, definitely. Justin and Seth. Seth, I know, definitely.
So I may or may not be the person behind the Havino Dex Twitter account right now. So I very much was keeping up with it.
Right. I think I mean, they're trying to do their best despite being very hardcore maxis. I think Samurai guys have been on our side for a very long time. And now because of the donation and because of the, supported the back end for testnet, for Monero, I think they're catching a lot of heat now. Like, they're no longer pure in other clown world.
We've broken the castle walls. Justin, what is the latest update on it?
Well, I want to first give a story about the Samurai thing, because it's funny how quickly I've come around. Because about a year ago, I didn't have a negative opinion of Samurai, but I sort of just thought, it's just kind of, why would you want to use mixing at all on Bitcoin? It's far better to just use Monero, right? It's a sentiment I think generally we see here. But, if you had to use it, I guess, but still, Wasabi seems to be the leading one. It seems like it's less controversial. I don't know. A year ago, I definitely would be recommending Wasabi to people instead of Samurai. But then, there are all the, back and forth between Samurai and Wasabi. And admittedly, I didn't really follow the drama that much either. But after just speaking, it really took until I had the, initial interview with the, on the Monero Space channel with Samurai, where we went through some of their philosophies and the like. And for the interview, I had to, actually catch up on what drama was the cause of the past stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, these people actually do seem pretty pragmatic about privacy. And they actually do seem like their main goal is just providing the best tool that they can for Bitcoin privacy, even though we all agree it's less than a Monero, base layer solution. But they're still making a tool people clearly want. And it's been great. Like I definitely think very highly of their developers and team now. So that's pretty cool. On the Vino side, things are still pretty early, but there's many cool things we can take advantage of that Bisq can't. For example, Monero transactions are cheap. That's great, right? Also, when you publish information about Monero transactions, you're leaking far less information when you're putting things in an order book. So that's great, right? You don't then connect an order book item with their entire other previous transaction history or whatever, trace it going forward. You just see Monero hashes and the like, right? So now that's better, right? You also have the ability to use Monero RandomX mining in order to get users started. I think most people haven't used Bisq before. And if you tell a user, oh, I want to, if a user even comes to you, says, I get the reason why I want to buy something no KYC, right? No KYC Bitcoin, right? They're like, okay, how do I get started? Well, they can't use Bisq because in order to buy Bitcoin on Bisq, you need to have Bitcoin already, right? So that can't be your entry point. And so RandomX is a really, really exciting way for someone to buy a very small amount of, they basically use their mining power to buy a very small amount of Monero without having to hold Monero to begin with. And then they use that small purchase of Monero to then buy larger amounts. So it's like a really fascinating extra tool belt we have to get people started in a way, like for a user experience that people actually need help with, right? So I don't know. I talked a lot here, but I'm genuinely excited.
Yeah, that mining thing is really unique. I'm excited to see the development there. Like you said, you need a collateral in this, but this is like a very novel way. Spend some work, and then you can do the exchanges and whatever you want. So it incentivizes mining at the same time. And then more than likely, whoever is trying to get in there may eventually grow up, if not already, run a full node, support the network in some way. Excuse me. Yeah, but Bisq was very sour grapes, because of the donation. I didn't like that part. I mean, Monero community has supported most of their revenue, 70% at a minimum, and to mock Samurai guys for their donation towards the exchange, the new exchange, that's not fair for Bisq guys. I thought that was very poor taste. later on, he was like, kind of apologizing that, he's allowed to talk like that from time to time or whatever. But nah, the damage is done. Yeah, but they had their part, though. I mean, let's not kick somebody who just did something like this. BISC has played a part. I think, and let's not forget, Haveno is not starting without, forking BISC code. So the roots are going to be.
Can somebody just give us a quick, summary of the drama regarding why BISC wasn't more amenable to Monero to begin with? What was the reason there, and why did it come down to this?
Bitcoin maximalism, pure and simple.
I mean, the short answer is I don't want to solely say maximalism. I would say that I think changed the way that they weighted certain priorities for sure. But general code complexity was one. I mean, if you think about it, if you think of someone like a group of individuals that are very much in the Bitcoin ecosystem and want to have a DEX that is prioritized for people who already hold Bitcoin, right? You can see why perhaps they wouldn't want to make a trade-off to say, oh, well, we're going to start doing this Monero-based pair, or we're going to have other pairs with Monero or whatever. But those pressures really boil up when Bitcoin transaction fees are pretty significant, and when surveillance of BISC transactions just continues to climb. Like BISC used to publish with its public API the transaction hashes involved with the order book. They removed that because people were looking at it, and people can still look at it manually, but it just requires them to manually fetch that info rather than pulling it from BISC's API, right? So these problems have been around for quite some time. It wasn't like a new idea, or there wasn't really a tipping point, I would necessarily say, at least as a single thing. I don't want to prescribe it to drama. I do think, however, that they have very different priorities. And I like to think, as someone who's been helping the Haveno team for a while, that we have priorities that are the same as most people, but we shall see. And take everything we say with a grain of salt, because Haveno's not out yet, but BISC is. So it's easy to armchair criticize when you don't actually have anything that works. So that's something the Monero community often, yells at other people for doing, right? Because, we don't want to be like, oh, well, this new privacy thing will come out of nowhere and it'll be so much better than Monero. It's like, yeah, well, let us know when it happens, right? Until then, put up or shut up. So we don't want to fall in the same trap there.
Right. And I think there were technical challenges from what the BISC guy, posted, particularly with respect to how they wanted to implement multisig for Monero. But again, I think the way the political answers they were giving is that they just don't have the time, or not further down in priority. So they have moved or focused more towards the Bitcoin sidechain, right? Which the Samurai guys actually call it an altcoin, the liquid. So BISC is moving towards supporting L2, Lightning Network, and focusing on the liquid side of integration more. They just don't want to prioritize making Monero the base pair. Whatever that means, I think, technical challenges aside, yes, they're not very inclined. They appear to be not crazy maximalists, but they have their affinity.
Great information, guys. Somebody mentioned in the chat, Vic is working on getting Thorchain integration. Yeah, he did mention that. He said that in Clubhouse today. So that's big news. That's Cake. Vic is Cake for anybody listening. So Cake is thinking about how they could integrate with Thorchain.
You guys going to DEF CON? I know this was talked about.
Yeah, we're definitely going to try to go. Justin, can you give us any further information there? Like, how do people get involved if they want to go? Are there, do you know if there's limits on how many people can go? What happened?
He had to jump off for a second.
Oh, he did?
I'm not entirely sure about, I'll have to hop off right after this. I'm not entirely sure about how purchases will go. I know in the past it's obviously been cash a door, and that is expected to change. I don't have full details, though. But if you are interested, the Monero-events channel on Matrix is really the best way to follow any of the discussions. There's a ton of people that are active there 24/7. So that does involve, for example, we were active last night talking about how should we start to plan the Monero party and stuff. So I mean, we're definitely still having these discussions early. So hop in the.
Let us help with that one. Let us help with that.
Well, the two of you need to be active. Everyone here in the Monero community, like I know that people have different chat platforms, but to the extent that you're willing to download Element and use that and check it regularly, we really have a great Monero community there. And if you want to actually be involved in the planning of stuff, that's like the number one advice I would have to get involved in a more deep
we got to do that. We're
jump
bad
on.
with that.
I know.
We're just
There's too many platforms.
we're
to keep
doing our own
track
thing
of,
over here.
Exactly. See, I'm trying to get most people to use Element as the primary thing, right? So
Yeah.
All right, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Don't leave us out though. Don't leave us out.
I'll keep forwarding messages, but if you don't want me, or if you don't want to risk me accidentally forgetting to forward something, definitely check out on Matrix directly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we definitely want to be involved. So yeah, to anybody, we're gonna try to be there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
We had a blast.
Yeah, we had a
last
blast.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Like I already joked about this on Twitter, but make sure you bring your new espresso machine.
We won't tell that story.
Yeah,
that was between us.
All right, I'm gonna leave on that note. But it was great hanging out to you on MoneroTopia. Everyone else have a great time.
All right. Thanks. Have a good night.
But
Bye.
no, we had a good time. Yeah, anybody else that's going?
Anyone going to to Bitcoin conference first, I guess.
Yeah, there's that. Well, we're going to be going to the Bitcoin conference. That's first week.
I'm definitely going to the Def.
Okay,
Yeah.
Awesome.
To DEF CON?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will see you guys there definitely. Yeah. If you're coming.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, we hope to help throw the party.
Yes, we have to jump
Actually,
on.
the one we went, the party wasn't right.
No, it ended up being
the party the year before was supposedly
good.
some epic party. We weren't there for
and they
that
tried
one.
to make it, but
Was it 2019?
that was 2019.
Yeah, that
when
just
we
ended
went
up being
to.
in a bar. Yeah, no, this year
at
they need
a club,
we need a good
actually.
party
Yeah,
this year.
this year we need a good party, and we're willing to help. We want to help, and also be media partners there too. That was awesome.
And yeah, we were selling. That's when we first tried gratuitous. We had coffee from
And it was a hit.
Brazil.
Yeah,
And we sold it in person at DEF CON. We were making espressos for everybody.
all
And
weekend. It
It's
was
like
a
the one thing
4-day
you
week.
need. Like you'll pay anything for an espresso at DEF CON as you're like walking in at 9 a.m. and you were just out all night the night before. So that worked out
It's
very well.
nonstop action. You have conferences, then you have bars, and you have restaurants. Yeah, so
We'll see if we get away
Yeah,
with
let
it
us
this year,
know.
though. We really, right?
we got to figure that out. Yeah, lots of things.
Because
to
we
figure out.
weren't technically supposed to be doing it because the conference had their own coffee,
Yeah.
which sucked, which helped it all the more because we were the only ones that had good coffee. The other thing is anybody going to Pork Fest? Anybody know what that is?
Does anyone know what that is?
What to where? You kind of broke up. Oh, where?
Pork
Pork
Fest
Fest.
in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I'll put it in there.
It's like
What's
a
going on?
libertarian festival. We're
I see.
gonna be going to that. So if anybody is going that's in the Monero community, reach out to us. I guess tweet us or something. We'd love to hook up with you guys because we could.
I've got another question for. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I got another question for Mr. W before he helps off in 5 minutes. Looking at the daily, like the shorter term time frames, like the daily and lower, it looks like we're rejecting off the 0.08. Do you have a downside target if and when we dip?
Yeah, I would buy. I mean, what was it on April 23rd? We had this spike down into a demand area, and the low was 0.006175. I think if that wick right there shows me that there's serious demand that wants to buy there, and that's kind of that showed up. That demand started to show up below 0.0065. So I would just like stagger buys below 0.0065 down to 0.006-ish area, and just try to catch some limit orders if we get down that low. I mean, the volume indications aren't telling me there's that much selling. This looks more technical. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's just trying to create a dip to try to get in.
Cool. Thanks.
You got it.
Yeah. So the other thing is Pork Fest. We'll be going to that. That's what, end of June.
End of June. Yep. That's end
So
of
anybody
June.
that's that's in New Hampshire, even if you're interested even if you weren't going, but you're in the U.S. and you think it's something you might want to do, reach out to us. We'd love to chat with you about it.
Put it in the
What's that?
description. I'll put it in the live chat. The link to PorkFest.
Anybody else want to jump on and bring any topics up?
There are a few that are on right now. We have, Andre, I guess. Anon, I think you spoke. Oh, well, I guess that's it. Anybody?
I'm actually gonna pop off. Thanks for having me on, guys. Reach out about next week.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so
I'd
much.
love to have you
for
on,
taking time.
on a weekly, as much as you can do it. People like
Cool.
hearing.
Awesome. Cheers, guys. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, cheers, you too. Bye.
Later, man.
So I put the Jitsi link for anyone that wants to jump on Jitsi and say hello.
Yeah, anybody that wants to come on live, just go on the Jitsi. What are the other things we wanted to bring up?
Well, the gratuitous. Why don't you talk about your experience yesterday selling coffee in Brooklyn?
Oh, well, I feel like I've talked about that already. No, but it went really well. We were thinking if anybody wants to help sell coffee wherever they are, we can send you a kit. It's quite easy to do to get all the equipment, and you can sell coffee. We were running the numbers. I mean, you could basically break even after selling 10 bags. Like a bag of coffee makes about 16 cups. We're selling them for about $4 each on the street, a pour over coffee. So after like 8 to 10 bags, you pretty much break even, and then you can continue to sell coffee. It's just a good way to get the word out about Monero, because literally every person you talk to, you're explaining Monero and you're selling them a coffee, and you're talking about the tipping, how you can tip with it, but you can't tip with Bitcoin because of transaction fees. So it's just a good way to kind of market Monero in an organic way. But we're thinking of maybe putting the kits together if anybody wants to buy a full kit, and they could sell coffee in their location.
Hey, you guys are in Florida, right?
No, we're in New York. We're in Brooklyn.
Oh, you're in New York. Okay.
Yeah, so it's working very well over here. I mean, it's just a matter of how much. I have my day job. We have our day jobs, so this is something I only basically do on Saturday mornings, and it's really as much. Whenever I walk out, set up the stand, it's I'm selling coffee. I don't even have time to make my own coffee, so it just works. And people like good coffee. They appreciate the setup. It's like a very minimalist, and we're just doing pour overs. And we end up chatting. The most important part being we end up chatting with every single person about crypto and about Monero. So it's a nice real world way to spread. Oh, we added the.
Yeah, I gotta put it on.
What did you end up naming them?
Atomic Kicks. I got it.
Nice. We added Atomic Kicks to the gratuitous website, so you could purchase the shoes.
And we spoke about it, during the Moneroversary. So now they're live, guys.
And we're gonna add. This is all about sending tips to. Well, for this case, it can't be that you can tip the sneaker producer. We'd love that if we were able to pull that off, but we're not there yet. So we're gonna add. I think to the back of the sneaker, we don't have it on there. Some kind of QR code, and you could tip the devs. So we'll go to like the Monero General Fund. Just a cool thing to do. Anybody else want to bring anything else up?
Anybody else in the chat want to
just jump in?
Oh, there's a new person that jumped on. H. Huh? You want to say hello? You want to say hello?
There's a lot of people in the Jitsi, but nobody's talking.
Nobody's talking.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. I mean, we did I was doing Clubhouse all morning, so we had our fill of Monero today. But if anybody wants to keep chatting, jump in.
All right. Later, guys.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna call it a day.
We're gonna call it a day. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Hope you enjoyed the price report.
Yeah, and again, this show is sponsored by Cake Wallet.
Sponsored by Cake, who we always mention. We mentioned during the episode anyway regarding Thorchain. But yeah, thanks Cake for the sponsorship, keeping us going.
And yeah, guys. I guess we'll wrap it up then.
All right.
All right,
good night,
guys.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Ciao.
Take care. See you next week. Ta-ta.